In the company of objections to the cosmological, ontological, and teleological arguments, the so-called problem of evil may be the most successful philosophical construct to disprove the existence of God, simply because it targets belief in God as an inherently irrational pursuit. In other words, the problem of evil states that not only does God not exist, but, given what we know about the current state of the universe, there's no possible way he could exist even if we wanted him to. So what is the problem of evil exactly? Although there are many variations, it basically goes like this. Premise 1, God is omnipotent or all-powerful. Premise 2, God is omnibenevolent or all-good. And premise 3, yet evil exists in the world. You'll notice that these premises are all things that most people hold as foundational truths. But where exactly is the conflict supposed to be located? Who says that God and evil can't coexist? Well, there are a few default assumptions we have to make about the nature of good, evil, and God before we can really grasp the consequences of the problem of evil. You already believe most of these anyway, but they're worth going over. 1. Good is opposed to evil, such that good always tries to eliminate evil as much as possible. 2. There is no limit to an omnipotent being's power. 3. An omnipotent, omnibenevolent being would eliminate evil completely. And finally, 4. An omnipotent, omnibenevolent being and evil are incompatible. As such, God and evil can't coexist. But since it is quite clear that evil exists in the world, when it comes to the reality of God versus evil, it looks like evil comes out standing. As you can imagine, this conclusion does not sit well with religious types, who have a standard set of objections to the argument, such as, isn't the world better with some evil in it than with none at all? One Australian philosopher, J. L. Mackie, addressed these complaints in his article titled Evil and Omnipotence. His first reply to the better with some evil in it objection was to explain that a God who cannot create a truly good world without adding some evil to it is not omnipotent because he is bound by a causal law which dictates his actions. Likewise, Mackie dismantled the notion of evil as a catalyst for good by saying that the good that results from evil would have to supersede other types of natural good, and that God should have just made the world 100% good in the first place. Since he didn't, he can't be omnibenevolent. Lastly, of course, is the highly debated issue of free will, something that Mackie and we don't even know to exist. Nevertheless, Mackie asked the reader what's so special about this concept that would allow it to justify the evil it inevitably causes humans to enact. Not to mention the fact that a God who can't control every aspect of your life wouldn't be omnipotent, or that free will does not account for natural evil like suffering and pain, which means that God isn't omnibenevolent. In response, Mackie proposes 4 solutions that exempt one from the problem of evil, but he finds certain solutions, like denying God's existence, more plausible than others, like denying evil's existence. It's also worth mentioning that what we've been discussing so far is the logical problem of evil, and that there also exists the much more popular evidential problem of evil, which recognizes the necessity of evil but questions its magnitude in the universe.
Mom, come out!
Of course there's a God, you idiot. You don't believe in God?
But there's a God, then why is there so much evil in the world? Well, just on a simplistic level, why were there Nazis?
Tell him, Max.
How the hell do I know why there were Nazis? I don't know how the can opener works.